Hey, I'm Mike.
And I'm Darianne.
We're with Racebending.com, and right now you're watching channelapa.com. We came in about a year ago, and we've been with the cause ever since. So, if you're asking why are we in the cause, Darianne, do you want to go first?
Well, I originally heard about the show, both the show and the live action adaptation, through Mike. I really have no experience as far as watching the original show, but I'd heard about the practice of casting white actors in Asian roles a year ago with 21 and Dragon Ball and things like that. And so when the Last Airbender adaptation announced their casting, it was just like, oh my gosh, again? That was like the reaction that I had. So
I guess for me it was kind of the same thing. I watched the series, I loved it. I actually have family who worked on the show, and so I got into it from there. And I heard about the live action film, and I was really excited, of course, because I love the series. Brian Konietzko and Mike D. Martino did a great job. They were very authentic, they did their research very carefully, and they were very respectful of the Asian culture, and I appreciated that. So when I heard about the casting, I guess I was never really much of an activist, but I kind of always been aware. When you're Asian American and you're growing up in the United States, I think you can't help but be aware of how you're portrayed on television, how the media sees you. You understand growing up, even if you don't see yourself through that lens, you understand that people are looking at you in a certain way, that they look at you and see a nerd, a mathematician, a computer scientist, an engineer, a lawyer, a doctor. They see a model minority at best, and as an Asian American male, they see a desexualized individual at worst. So there are all these problems that have emerged from Yellow Peril and so forth, but I just kind of accepted it. I just thought, okay, this is the way it is, and I won't let myself be defined by these things, but I kind of took the same attitude a lot of people have, which is, hey, there's nothing I can do about this. But for some reason, and I think of what Angry Asian Man once said, which is, there's always something. Eventually they come after something you care about, and as silly as it sounds, for me, this was the last straw, like Darianne said, because when Paramount announced the casting, when Paramount decided to release these casting calls asking for Caucasian or any other ethnicity for The Last Airbender, it was the worst example of whitewashing in recent history, with this huge budget film, this amazing chance for Paramount to really reach out to show that they have joined the 21st century with, at the very least, casting practices. And even if they hadn't chosen Asian American actors, the fact that they failed at the outset, that they didn't even try, that in their minds an American film with American people necessarily meant white, that was shocking to me. That was incredibly abhorrent to me. And so I looked online, I checked it out. Darianne found out about MANA, the Media Action Network for Asian Americans, and we went to a meeting where we actually met up with Marissa Lee, and she roped us into the Racebending.com cause, and we've been working on it ever since.
oh my goodness, there's just been so much response. First by the original the fans of the original series. That was kind of where it started, because obviously they were following, the news with the adaptation. So like those fans reacted first, but we've just been getting responses from people all over the world, not only from Asian Americans and Native Americans, but also just people of different ethnicities and backgrounds. So it's just been this outpour, and we just keep getting more and more people who are interested in this issue. So it's really amazing.
Yeah, it's been really exciting for us. I think what is really encouraging is that over half the supporters of Racebending.com are actually Caucasian. And we have supporters all over the United States and around the world. So this isn't an issue that is just a minority issue. This isn't just an issue of Asian American and Native American representation. This is really sort of everyone coming together and saying, wait a second, that's wrong. Releasing a cast call saying Caucasian or any other ethnicity is wrong. Asian Americans look at it and they see it as another example of Dragon Ball 21, our representation from Breakfast at Tiffany's to Fu Manchu, and they realize this is wrong. And then for Caucasian Americans, they look at it and they say, this is insulting. This is incredibly insulting to me that Hollywood thinks that I will not buy a ticket to a film, that I can't relate to characters who are not white. And I think of all of our supporters, they appreciate and they understand that this is the 21st century, and just because someone isn't the same skin color as you doesn't mean that you can't respect them, doesn't mean that you can't feel for them.
Well, I guess the first place to start would be to visit racebending.com. Learn as much as you can about the issue, like read as much as you can, and then tell as many people as you can about the issue. Tell your friends, your family, anyone, really. We just need to get the word out. And then if you want to go beyond that, you can connect with us on Twitter, on Facebook, keep tabs of what we're doing, and also if you have any ideas, feel free to send them our way. We're open to anything. I guess our main goal is spreading awareness about this issue. Our current focus is Last Airbender, but it's not limited to just this film. So again, connect with us. And then the next thing would be, if you want to get involved further, you can help us organize events, send letters to the press, different forms of media, film critics, and you can sign up for our street teams. We have street teams in New York, Southern California, and Seattle. And then you can also sign up for our email newsletter, which is also found on racebending.com. So yeah, those are just a few ways to get involved. I think The Last Airbender is, like Mike said, it sparked this kind of, last straw feeling amongst a lot of people. And so I think it's the beginning of people realizing that this is an issue that it's not the first time that it's happened, and it's definitely not the last. So I think with The Last Airbender and the Racebending.com supporters, I think the movement has gone beyond The Last Airbender, even though that is our current focus because it will be released in a few months. But there are other films out there, for example, like The Weapon, which is based on an Asian American comic, or a comic about an Asian American, and was cast with David Henry, who is an Italian American. So, a lot of people got upset about that. So I don't think that that Racebending.com will be limited to The Last Airbender for very long. I think we're expanding our issues. I mean, we're talking about also whitewashing on book covers for young adult books, so it's not even just film and television anymore, it's all forms of media. So so I think this movement's definitely growing beyond what sparked it initially, which I think is a good thing.
Brandon Sue?
Brandon Suhu from Tropic Thunder. He was really good in Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
And he probably could have been...
He would have made an amazing Aang. I'm not going to say probably, I will say flat out that if they had cast Brandon Suhu as Aang, it would have been a far superior casting choice. It would have been truer to the original intent of the series. It would have not insulted all the Asian American actors who were overlooked in a role that was clearly steeped in Asian culture.